Well, the compacts have been an idea that the ALP has had for some time, so I think it was part of their education revolution. At the time of the education revolution, they'd sort of indicated this would be a way of letting each university actually sort of pursue its own unique mission, that it'd be very much a hands-off sort of process. As the more details come out, I think the Prime Minister's sort of now saying that it's a framework, and he's described it as being compacts with teeth, and the government's actually putting the teeth into the compacts through the inclusion of performance-based funding. So they've been around since prior to the election, so they're not a new idea. It's just as the details come out, they become a bit more, well, less hands-off is the best way to put that, I think. Well, in a sense, because each university is going to be required to sit down with the government and basically do two things in the compacts. One is to define its own mission, but it needs to demonstrate how that aligns with the government's broader policy objectives, and particularly sort of objectives around increased participation and increased participation of underrepresented students like low SES, Indigenous students, students from remote and regional Australia. So that's two of the important objectives of the government, that they want to achieve that. So the compacts are a way of actually ensuring that each university is part of that. And the other sort of thing that the compacts will do is they'll develop the framework for this performance-based funding into the future. So there's quite a significant increase in public investment in universities that was announced in the 2009 federal budget. But most of that is conditional on universities sort of meeting some performance targets. Now, we don't know what the details of those performance targets are, but they will be negotiated as part of each compact with the government and each university. So the importance for our members and for university staff more generally is that sort of these performance-based targets in particular, but also, you know, if a university changes its fundamental mission, are going to sort of impact on what happens at each university, or potentially what happens at each university on a day-to-day basis. So it actually has very real implications for the way the university is funded, the performance targets that it needs to meet. So it's sort of, you know, and it'll also have some impact on the way that each university allocates its resources internally. So that will impact on what you teach, who you teach, how you teach it, etc. So they are really very important issues for our members. And part of the reason I'm here today is to just actually inform our members about those sort of issues and, you know, encourage them to get involved in discussions and engagement with the university around those sorts of issues. Each university now has an interim compact which have been published and relate to 2010. The intention at the moment is that prior to the end of this year, so within the next 6 months, each university will have to have a compact in place, and the funding will sort of start flowing from 2011. So we're looking at a six-month window. Our understanding is that very few universities are very far down the track in sort of completing those. But again, that's just our best information. Well, the take-home message is it's really important to be involved and to encourage the university to be involved. So get yourself informed. I mean, you need to be informed because it's going to impact on what you might be doing in 2 or 3 years' time. And to encourage the university to actually sort of engage in genuine consultation with not only with the staff but with the students and with the broader communities that the university sort of services. So we think that's a really important condition, and, you know, the Central Queensland, one of its aspirations as articulated in its interim compact, is it wants to become Australia's most engaged university. So we're quite confident that the university will engage in that process in terms of how it positions itself for its sort of future strategic direction, and in terms of the sort of performance targets it's prepared to agree to in the compact.